On today's episode of Brought to You by Unity College, we have Climate Change in Humans. How are we impacted? Presented by Liberty. Please forgive my total lack of my lacking professionalism look. My cat's sick, my dog is sick, my kid is sick, and one of them got me sick. So, here's where you are. Next! What are we gonna go over? How climate change affects people, how climate affects national economics, and how climate change will affect the global economy. I pinky promise that it all happens. How does climate change affect people? It's just a degree or two. So what? Does it really affect my health? Yes, Linda, it does. And who's at risk? It's just a degree or two. So what? Rising temperatures and heat stress can also harm livestock. Warmer oceans force stronger and warmer hurricanes. Dry conditions cause more wildfires. And just to elaborate on that, warmer oceans. Are you aware, due to the amount of ice that is melting, it is forcing the oceans to change their direction of current, which is forcing birds to change their migratory patterns? Dry conditions cause more wildfire? Yes. Do I need you to, need I remind you? California, Australia, they're, yeah, those are some real bad fires. Does it really affect my health? Yes. Yes, it does. Heat is historically the top weather-related killer in the U.S. Heat exhaustion, heat stroke, heart attack, heat-related illnesses, heat stroke. Call 911 right away. Are you aware that people who have had heat stroke are likely to get another heat stroke and they're more susceptible to heat injuries? It's not fun, so beat the heat and drink water. Who's at risk? Like I said, those of us that have already had a heat-related illness. Young children. We're barely into 2022 and people are still leaving their children in cars. And according to the CDC, 3 children have died this year because heat and kids in cars. Older adults, remember Chicago 95? That's why we say to check on your elderly. People with chronic medical conditions. My mother was a heart patient and they shut off our electricity. And you want to know what she did? She called them up and told them that she's a heart patient. And they turned on our electricity real quick. And that was during the summer. Pregnant women are also at high risk, and extreme heat events have been associated with adverse birth outcomes like low birth weight, preterm birth, and infant mortality. Nationally? Really? Well, from Alaska to New York, yes, but we're not going to talk about those places. Let's talk about California. We literally just went over them and their drought. This photo is from this morning. CNN, CBS, NBC, they're all talking about it. California produces 80% of the world's almonds and 100% of the U.S. commercial supply. Almonds are also California's #1 agricultural export. It's a multi-billion-dollar income for them, just from almonds. 1 ounce of almonds requires 23 gallons of water. So 1 pound of almonds needs 404 gallons of water. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I'm not saying we should stop farming almonds, but we need to figure something out. Actually, almond farming takes up 10% of California's water. So yes, nationally. Climate change affects national economics. Heat waves reduce productivity. We just talked about that with the almonds. Increase in temperatures can cause decimating hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons. Drought causes less profitable harvest. Basic food and consumer good prices will rise due to shortages. Remember, supply demand. The more demand, the higher the price. Look at diesel prices. I drive a diesel. Diseases will spread due to higher temperatures. Let me say that again. Diseases will spread due to higher temperatures. Well, why does that matter? Because if your workers are sick, they can't work. Now, can they? Dengue. It kills. Malaria! You get bit, it infects your liver, and then those little malaria larvae grow in your liver, and then they like explode your blood cells, and it's just a great time. Note I'm being totally sarcastic. Totally sarcastic. St. Louis encephalitis can't happen in America. Joke's on you. Look at this. 1964 to 1998, 4,478 confirmed cases. Ouch. Cryptosporidium. That sounds like a spell, but you don't want to get this one. This. Ouch. Don't do it. Lyme disease. You can get it from ticks. You're going to be on medication for the rest of your. Excuse me. Sorry about that. You're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. I knew someone who had Lyme disease. And before we go over the whole you're safe in America, I just want to point out that in 2015 we had 16 cases of the bubonic plague and 4 of those people died. Since 2000 to 2019, on average, 7 people a year get bubonic plague. Remember we weren't worried about Ebola because that's something that only happened in Africa, and then it came to America and everyone lost their mind. Why do diseases affect the national economy? It affects it nationally and globally because if your workers are sick, they can't work. And if they're too poor, then they're going to come to work sick, infecting other workers. And then that's where it gets real gross because then they're going to be touching your food. And if people don't wash their food, you see the chain that just goes on and on. Yeah. Globally, let's talk about it. Climate change affects global economics. 15% of North America's food supply is imported. 25% U.S. farm products are exported. Our food supply depends on climate and weather conditions. Farmers and researchers can adapt some agricultural techniques and technologies or develop new ones. Increased temperatures, drought, and water stress, diseases, and weather extremes create challenges for the farmers and ranchers. Mind you, some farmers and ranchers cannot afford the technologies and techniques that scientists are developing to take care of their crops or their livestock. And that's a reality. So, I wanted to point out Australia. Now, this isn't exactly Russia's temperatures. This is an island right above Russia, but it's considered a part of Russia. Temperature in Australia, Celsius, mind you, not Fahrenheit. That's roughly 12.8, and it shot up to about 14.4. That might not seem like a lot, but just look at the tippy top. That's above 15, and the lowest is about a 12.2. That's intense. Over here, we have -6, and it shot up to about -3, roughly. And then with the highest, it's about 1 degree, and the lowest is almost -11. Now, if you look at this particular area on Google Maps, it'll show you that it's predominantly ice or snow. And what's going to happen when all that melts? You're running out of room for people to live, because when permafrost melts, what do you end up with? Practically nothing. On a global scale, trade in goods accounts for over 75% of Australia's total trade with the USA. With Russia, U.S. goods and services trade with Russia totaled an estimated $34.9 billion in 2019. Granted, most of that was oil. How can it happen? Well, the largest impact of climate change is that it could wipe off up to 18% of gross domestic product off the world economy by 2050 if global temperatures rise by 3.2. Sorry, I thought I was going to cough for a second. China risks losing 24% of gross domestic product, 11 for the US and 11 for Europe. Countries most negatively impacted are Malaysia, Thailand, India, Philippines, and Indonesia. And they will be the most negatively impacted or most likely to feel the punch because, unlike Europe and America, they don't have advanced economies. Remember, global warming causes greenhouse gases, cause ocean acidification, global warming and climate change. You got your feedback, the effects on the environment, your effects on humans. Feel free to pause. And here's your sources, and here's some more sources. And thank you for stopping by.